Welcome back. Here with us on Overdrive. We're in the quest to find out which of these new sedans offers you the best bang for your buck. Is it the stylish Skoda Slavia? Is it the reliable and sturdy Volkswagen Virtus? Or is it the very frugal Honda City Hybrid? Let's find out.
Now, the mechanics of how it works can be quite complex or quite simple depending on how it's explained to you. We're going to do a very quick run through of how it works. This 1.5 litre petrol engine, which runs on the more efficient Atkinson cycle, which means it's less powerful, also works in conjunction with two electric motors, one that directly drives the front wheels and another that's attached to the engine to work as a generator motor and also to put back energy back into that battery, because remember, this is a strong hybrid, it's not a plug-in hybrid. So now that we know how this hybrid system works, what you need to know out in the real world is that it feels like a very sophisticated and seamless powertrain. Now, apart from the fact that when you cold start it, you might have the engine shoot up in revs while it charges up the battery, and it doesn't sound particularly pleasing at that. It's a very silent experience. You are going to be doing most of your driving in electric only mode, and that makes it feel a lot more expensive than it actually is, and that's just by pure virtue of the fact that it's a hybrid. Now, the eCVT doesn't feel like a typical CVT under most circumstances. If you are going to be driving it hard, especially if you're going to try to be driving it hard up an incline, you will feel it drone on, and you will find yourself reaching out to that right-hand paddle shifter for another gear. But no, those paddle shifters are for adjusting the regen braking only, and it's largely applicable when you slot the gear lever into the brake mode. At all other times, the difference in the regen braking that you ask for while the paddles is just a temporary change. Now, there's not much to pick between the two German twins, but the Slavia does feel like the slightly more relaxed of the two. What I do like is the fact that at about 3,500 revs, it feels like it has slightly less vibrations. Now, the great thing about these new age sedans, just looking at them, you can tell that they've got a lot more ground clearance than their previous counterparts, at least in the city's case. What that does mean is that you can go over speed breakers without worrying about your low-slung sedan scraping out. What immediately stands out in the Slavia as part of that slightly more relaxed driving experience is the fact that the brakes feel a little too relaxed for my liking. It feels like the bite only comes in very, 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 very far down in the pedal, and that's not a feeling that I'm being able to get used to very easily. It's a little surprising that the feel behind the wheel of the Virtus is different than the Slavia, considering they're essentially the same car. Both the Slavia and the Virtus do feel exceptionally well behaved in the city as well, where the gearbox will stay in second gear up till about crawling speeds and only then shift to first, and even then it's not a very jerky shift. But ultimately, the city does feel a lot smoother because it's just got that eCVT, and whether you're inching along in traffic or you need a little more, it just seems to give you what you want when you ask for it. Now, considering that the performance of the city hybrid is just about half a second or so behind the Germans with their 1.5 litre petrols and their twin clutch gearboxes, I think that's a compromise that most people won't even realize, considering just how much better its fuel efficiency is. I also really like the plushness of the ride quality on the city versus the other two. It just has a slight edge in comfort, though that does mean that you do get more body movements through a corner. It's not very unsettling, unless you're really trying to push the pace, but there is a good sense of mechanical grip despite those skinny tires. Now what I like about the Virtus is suspension setup, and it doesn't only take effect in the corners, it's even over things like speed breakers. It just has a slightly more controlled rebound over a speed breaker that makes it feel just slightly better. Now of course between the Germans the differences feel very relative, but there is a definite difference in character between the two cars. Now compared to the city, the Virtus obviously does feel like a sportier car. What I especially appreciate about the Virtus is that it feels just a little lighter on its feet, even though we know the curb weights are pretty much the same between this and the Slavia. Between the Slavia and the Virtus, we'd pick the Virtus for how it looks, the stronger brakes and the spot-on balance between the comfort and handling. But there's simply so much sophistication and efficiency in the City Hybrid's drivetrain for not a lot of money more. That makes it impossible to ignore. If comfort and efficiency is your priority, a Honda dealership is where you need to be headed.
On that note, it's time for us to wrap up this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. And you can follow our latest updates on Instagram. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye. Many thanks for watching. Drive and ride safe.